With great power comes controversial backstory changes. As Captain America Civil War celebrates its 10th anniversary, directors Joe Russo and Anthony Russo have opened up about a major shift in Spidey's origin story that changes one of the most defining elements of the character. Joe Russo has shared a key detail that flips expectations. Speaking of that, about their approach, Spider-Man was one of my favorite characters growing up, if not my favorite, and what I related to was this idea of a kid with incredible responsibility, right? And I think you could manifest that responsibility through accidental death, and feeling the pressure and sense of loss in your life in a way that would keep the spirit that we wanted. So in our minds, no, he was not responsible for Uncle Ben's death. That would have been a different interpretation, more intense interpretation of the character. That is a huge departure from classic Spider-Man mythos, where Peter's failure to act directly leads to Uncle Ben's death. In the MCU, however, at least from the Russo's perspective, that burden of guilt isn't part of Peter's foundation. Instead, his sense of responsibility comes from the loss itself, not from personal failure. Does this origin shift get your Peter tingling?
I'm not completely upset with this redirect because it is something very different, and they have made clear that this is something different from the regular comic continuity. Also, he still has that same thing in Aunt May. He kind of blames himself for Aunt May passing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it may not have been Uncle Ben, but they flipped it on its head, and he lost Aunt May. So I mean, yeah, he lost Uncle Ben at a point, but he feels directly responsible for Aunt May. So I feel like he still has that level of responsibility. Again, the only thing we're missing is Gwen Stacy, if they make MJ his Gwen Stacy, like MJ passes away and MJ dies, which would suck. I hate to lose Zendaya, but I mean, like, they kind of use her as his stand-in for Gwen Stacy. You know what I mean? And it's like, Spider-Man feels responsible because he tried to save Gwen Stacy and in the process killed her. Spoilers for the comics. I feel like they're kind of going down that road, but because it's a different universe, it's that whole concept from the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies where if something is supposed to happen, if it is an event that is supposed to happen in your life, it is going to happen no matter what. And it's kind of like it is happening to him, but in a different order with different people.
No, and I feel like, with Aunt May's death and all that, I feel like this is kind of the only way they could do it properly, because then it would be like, okay, he was responsible for this death and then this death, and you still only need to learn the lesson once.
Right.
So.
Well, I think so. Going back to the Peter Parker thing, I do like that they explained this because we got to see that innocent, funny, quippy Peter Parker back in Civil War and moving up until the last movie with Aunt May passing away. So we got to see that the fun and the lovable version of Peter Parker instead of going straight into the I'm heavy and I'm in the tonal shift of I'm got so much regret and guilt on my shoulders.
I also like that they, instead of Uncle Ben, like Tony Stark kind of took that role on.
Yeah.
And I liked that because it really anchored him to not only the MCU, but to like Iron Man and the Avengers.
Yeah.
So that it's an easier transition if he does become like a young Avenger, or like he can be called upon more. So I do like that. And I agree. We did get to see the shucks Peter for a little bit. And now that he has lost Aunt May and he's kind of out on his own, we get to see like what kind of man he will become.
Right.
And I don't think we got that from any of the other Spider-Man versions. Not to say anything about Andrew Garfield or Maguire. I feel like this Spider-Man is a lot more well-rounded. And we have gotten to see like, oh crap, I'm on vacation. I'm doing the school trip and I got to save everybody. That is something we never got from the other Spider-Man movies. It was always about Spider-Man and his girlfriend. This was more about Spider-Man being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And, oh, yeah, he's got these kid problems. It would all it seemed more comic book light, even though Uncle Ben wasn't there. Yeah. So I feel like they did really well. And I don't mind that Aunt May was killed because, oh, my God, was she a drag on him forever. Not in the movies, but in the comics. Like, she stuck around too long.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is set to be released in theaters on July 31st of 2026.
Aunt May needed to go to a home.